Hello ladies and gentlemen, it is I, JXMinus27, and it's been a while. So a year and a half ago, I did a video called History of Klonoa. It got some views and got some attention, which was nice for my channel, so I thought I would make another one. This time from one of my favorite series, Mega Man. I don't think Mega Man needs any introduction. He's one of the most iconic video game characters of all time. And while it took until recently for him to be relevant again, many fans are happy that the Blue Bomber is back. But do all these fans know the true history of Mega Man? How he was made, how many games he had, and all his sub-series? Well, that's what we are here to tackle today. Since the Mega Man series is without a doubt the hugest series I'm covering for history of, well, I was going to decide that we should split this up into parts. Part 1 will be the classic series, since as it's the most iconic Mega Man series, it has the most stuff. Part 2 will be the X-Zero and ZX series, as they're a series of games that go into one another. Part 3 finally will be the RPGs, Mega Man Battle Network, Mega Man Star Force, and Mega Man Legends. No, Legends ain't really an RPG series, but I couldn't really fit it in with anything else. Anyways, there's going to be one really long video that will be all 3 parts of the history of into one. Now let us begin. Mega Man 1. Mega Man 1 was released for the NES on December of 1987. The developers of Mega Man is interesting. Despite Keiji Inafune being known for a long time as the creator of Mega Man, and the man behind Mega Man, he actually joined the development later. The real creator of Mega Man is a man named Akira Kitamura. Now, despite the fact that he's the creator of one of the most famous video game characters of all time, he might just be one of the most elusive game developers I've ever seen. I couldn't even find a solid picture of the guy. I did find one picture, but I couldn't find any solid proof that it was him. He was actually involved with the first 3 Mega Man games, mostly 1 and 2. Apparently he left after 3, and then he left Capcom. Then some other things, and then he just left the video game industry in general. Mega Man went through a bunch of names at first. Names including Mighty Kid, Rainbow Battle Kid were all considered, but Rockman was the name they chose with. Of course, the joke being Rock and Roll, as Mega Man's sister's name is Roll. Let me tell you, the whole characters being named after music ain't getting old anytime soon. The story of Mega Man is simple. There were 2 doctors, Dr. Light and Dr. Wily. The 2 scientists worked together and made many robots. However, Light was getting all the credit, and Wily was getting jealous of him. One day, Wily went out and attacked the city to try to take over, and he even took 6 of Dr. Light's robots. Rock, who was just a helper robot at the time, asked Dr. Light to turn him into a battle robot so he could try and stop Dr. Wily. From here on, Mega Man was born. Now get your blue ass out there and shoot some stuff. Yeah, Mega Man on an NES. Definitely shows that it's the first Mega Man game, but it's not a bad game at all, it's just very flawed. And also very hard. In terms of ads, Mega Man 1 had 1 commercial in Japan. That was pretty neat. And while Mega Man is famous these days for having infamously bad box art, something that was a trend for a while, and the American box art is so infamous, bad box art Mega Man has legitimately made it to a separate character, and it's actually appeared in some games like Street Fighter Cross Tekken. But yeah, despite that, Mega Man 1 is not the reason Mega Man is famous. Hell, it didn't even do all that well when it first came out. It wasn't a total bomb, but it wasn't enough for Mega Man to become the franchise it became. That honor goes to the next game, and oh boy, it's Mega Man 2. Mega Man 2 is without a doubt the most iconic game in the whole Mega Man franchise. People to this day will still refer to it as one of, if not the best Mega Man games in general. It is still the most sold game in the series to this day, and it turned Mega Man into the iconic character he is. What if I told you, the game almost didn't get made? I guess Capcom didn't see it as a priority, most likely because 1 didn't do that well. But the developers really wanted to work on it, so I guess Capcom said, fine, whatever, if it gets you guys to stop whining. There was just one catch. The developers had to work on the game during their free time. Man, how ironic is it that Capcom didn't really want Mega Man 2, and then after the game came out, they were milking Mega Man for all his worth. But yeah, Mega Man 2, as stated earlier, is the most famous game in the Mega Man franchise. It has shown its flaws, I mean any game almost 30 years old would, but overall I still think it's a great game. Besides the boss in Wily 3, that thing can drink piss out of my ass. In terms of ads, it had a Japanese commercial, a commercial in France featuring Mario for some reason, and in America it was featured in Nintendo Power magazine. Yeah, no commercial. At least in America I couldn't find none. Strange. Whatever, I'm used to not finding commercials. Let's go on to the next game. Mega Man 3. Mega Man 3 is another fan favorite game, and one that I love to no end. This game introduces us to Rush, Mega Man's dog that will help him from here on out. He replaces the generic items from Mega Man 2. It also introduces us to Proto Man, Mega Man's brother, who is a semi-villain in this game, but a helper in all games after this. Now, despite the fact that this game being a fan favorite, Inafune has said that this is one of his least favorite games in the series. Apparently it's because this game went through development hell. We'd think the game that was made on free time would be the one through development hell, but nope, it was this one. People who were key in making the first two games suddenly dipped when it came to making this game, and this is also when Akira Kitamura officially left the series. They also had all sorts of things that just weren't going the way they wanted to, and to add the cherry on top of the cake, they even had to release the game before they thought it was finished. Heck, you can even see some of its unfinishes in the final game, like how Topspin has such a weird hitbox, Rush that suddenly doesn't lose weapon energy if you keep jumping, and some other weird quirks that happen in the game. But many still say it is a fun game regardless, and hey, any games that gives me a cute red dog to absolutely break a game and fly through it is a good game by me. In terms of ads, it actually had a bunch. A Japanese commercial, an American commercial, and it was a Nintendo Power. It had magazine ads, and ads where you can get the game for a deal. And man, this Mega Man knows like he knows what you do at night. But yeah, Mega Man 3, all around a good time, and ads aplenty. So, let's move on. Mega Man on PC. I bet you thought we were about to move on to Mega Man 4, huh? Ha ha ha! I did too. But to my surprise, there was a game that was released before Mega Man 4. Mega Man DOS, and oh god, look at these sprites. This looks like a game that was made by an amateur on Newgrounds, not an actual official game. What the hell is this? There's also no masters, and Rush, while on the box art, ain't in the game at all. There's no music here either, which means while you're playing this game, you get to hear the silence as your brain thinks about all the horrible decisions you've just made. Anyways, yeah, that was Mega Man for DOS. No one talks about this game. I personally believe no one wants to talk about this game. So let's move on. Mega Man Dr. Wily's Revenge. Oh boy, this game. Yeah, so this is Mega Man's first handheld game, and also the first game in the Game Boy series. The game has Robot Masters from 1 and 2 team up in the hopes of taking down Mega Man. This game also shows off a new type of enemy to the series, Mega Man Killers. A group of robots made by Wily to kill Mega Man. Which, wasn't there already a bunch of robots made to do that anyways? Why should I have to come up with a new name for them? Anyways, Wily's Revenge is nothing worth talking about too much. It's not the first handheld game people will think of when it comes to Mega Man's career, but it's overall a fine enough game. In terms of ads, it actually was in Nintendo Power, and there were no commercials though. But the thing in Nintendo Power about it was pretty lengthy. That's about it. So let's move on. Mega Man 4. Now we're talking. Mega Man 4 is, as you can guess, the fourth game in the main classic series. The game's plot is actually that a new scientist named Dr. Cossack is attacking the town, and he challenges Mega Man. Though, as you can expect, it's actually Wily behind it all, as he kidnapped Cossack's daughter Kalinka to force Cossack to do his bidding. In the end, Mega Man saves Kalinka, stops Wily, and then... Wait, what? Did Wily just escape through a freaking rotating door? Oh my god. Anyways, this game introduced a few new things to the Mega Man formula. For one, this is the first game where the Mega Buster was called the Mega Buster, as now Mega Man can charge it. Also, the game also introduces the whole 4 castle stages before Wily Castle, which would be used for every Mega Man NES game after this. Which is only 2, but you know. Anyways, in terms of public opinion for this game, it's all over the place. Some people think it's just okay, while some people think it's on the weaker side of the classic series. And some say it's underrated. I'm a little bit of all of these things if they make any sense. I wouldn't play this game first if I was deciding to play a classic Mega Man game, but I still think it's a good NES game, and a good Mega Man game, that I would play again, which is more than what I can say about the next NES game. Anyways, ads are a little more sparse this time around. Once again, we have a commercial in Japan, but that's about all. And while it was in Nintendo Power, it wasn't on the cover, and was more a game they covered in the magazine itself. So, let's just move on. Mega Man 2 on Game Boy. Yeah, we're already back to the Game Boy series. Geez, we're almost reaching Bomberman territory of how close these games were released to each other. Oh wait, I haven't done that history up yet. Anyways, like the last game, Mega Man 2 Game Boy also had 4 Robot Masters from 2 and 4 Robot Masters from 3 teaming up to kill Mega Man. This game introduces us to Quint, basically an evil Mega Man who came back in time to, well, kill Mega Man. Wait, what the hell? Look, I know this is Mega Man changed by Wily to destroy Mega Man, but this is just odd. First off, if he killed Mega Man, doesn't that mean he kills himself before he turns into Quint, therefore making it so he doesn't turn into Quint? But then by that logic, that means he doesn't kill himself, meaning he's alive to become Quint, which means he can go back in time and... oh, this is hurting my head. Even if he doesn't win, shouldn't he cease to exist anyways? Cause unless we're going by changing the past just makes another timeline rules, wouldn't Mega Man now be cautious to make sure he can never turn into Quint? Maybe I'm looking too deep into this. They probably didn't think about all this when making the game anyways. Speaking of which, this game is odd, as it's the only game in the Game Boy series to not be made by Minakuchi Earring, instead being made by Biox, who clearly didn't understand the Mega Man series and what made all the games fun anyways. As Mega Man 2 on Game Boy sucks so much ass, it's considered one of the worst Mega Man games, with pretty bad sprite work, level design that's just kinda boring, bland, and sometimes frustrating, and it doesn't help that most of the levels are one-for-one ports that just happen to be way worse than the originals. In terms of ads, I couldn't find anything. Like Mega Man 4, it just had a small thing in Nintendo Power. Well, at least it can't get any worse than this, right? Right? Mega Man 3 DOS. You gotta be freaking kidding me. First off, we skipped Mega Man 2. Second off, this game is a steaming pile of horseradish. We have 6 Robot Masters this time, alright? Wave Man kinda looks like Airman, just give him a water look. And this game didn't fix any problems with the last game. You still wander around for the boss room, there's no music again, like why? You guys half-assed the sprites already, what's the harm half-assing the music? It's better than no music. Then again, maybe it's better this way. After all, when there's no music, I get to think about all the mistakes I've made in my life. But if there is music, I get to hear all the mistakes I've made in my life. Anyways, ads, there are none. Reception, this game sucks. Let's move on. Mega Man 5. Mega Man 5 is the 5th game in the classic series. This game has Proto Man seemingly attack the town and kidnap Dr. Light. Okay, no, it's just Dr. Wily again, this time with a robot pretending to be Proto Man. After 8 new Robot Masters, Mega Man takes down Wily and then he lifts up a goddamn roof. Alright, didn't know he was that strong. The game pretty much just ends there. In terms of new things this game introduces us to, we have the Super Mega Buster, as the charge shot in this game is way more powerful than the one in 4. And we have Beat, a bird that accompanies Mega Man now. He was made by Dr. Cossack as a way of thanking Mega Man for saving Kalinka and stopping Cossack in the last game. Beat in this game just homes in on enemies for Mega Man to destroy. In later games though, he acts as a save you from bottomless pits one-sided. In terms of fan reception, this game is like 4. There's 3 camps. People who think it's okay, people who think it's on the weaker side of the classic series, or people who think it's underrated. Me? I don't like this game. I personally just find it a boring slog that ends up not really being a fun game. With uninspired level design, really lame weapons from Robot Masters, really lame Robot Masters while we're at it, and some of the things in this game wanted to do. Legit, how was I supposed to know there was a beat letter in there? Anyways, in terms of ads, once again we have a Japanese commercial with Mega Man and Proto Man fighting each other in a freaking anime fight apparently. And there was an article for this game in Nintendo Power. Oh, this really has been a real trend going on, hasn't there? But yeah, that's all there is to say about this game. Next! Mega Man 3 Game Boy. We're back to Mega Man 3, what the hell? You know the drill, half Robot Master in 3, other half in 4. Also, can we talk about how the official art for this game is Mega Man freaking killing Drill Man? Anyways, this game is nothing special. We've gone back to the original developers of the Game Boy game, so that's good. And it's a much better game than 2, but it still suffers from being just half ports of 3 and 4. In terms of ads, I couldn't find any. There was one magazine ad, but that's about all. Yeah, we're moving on. Wily and Light No Rock Board. That's paradise! What in the hell is this? Anyway, so to make this simple, I'm just gonna call it Rockboard was a Famicom game in 1993. Mega Man, Dr. Light, Roll, Dr. Cossack, and Kalinka decide one day, screw it, let's just play Monopoly. That's what this game is. It's 8-bit Mega Man skin Monopoly. And if you like my Monopoly, then I guess you'll like this game, but why would you play an NES Monopoly game when you can get a real Monopoly board? Oh, maybe put a few Mega Man figures on it. It'll probably be worth your time, as reception for Rockboard is rather poor. Ads? What ads? This game was weird and no one talks about it, so let's move on. Mega Man 6. Mega Man 6 is the final game to be on the NES, and honestly it was weird that it was on the NES. The SNES was already out for a while now, and Mega Man X was already a thing. But Capcom wanted to give the classic Blue Bomber one last NES shot before he moved on to the 16-bit generation. It was also a part of Nintendo's little campaign to keep the NES alive for a little while longer. Mega Man 6 was also the first game to have boss character contests in multiple countries for Robot Masters. Now Japan apparently had these competitions since Mega Man 2, but this is the first time the whole world had it. As you can expect, this is the one that ended up having the most submissions with over 200,000 of them. Hey, at least Capcom now have an unlimited supply of Robot Masters designs to last them like over 1,000 games. But yeah, the reason for this is Mega Man 6's story has a man named Mr. X holding a tournament for robots around the world to compete in to win stuff. And then he takes control of all the robots. And then it turns out he's Dr. Wily. If you couldn't tell, legit, did anyone fall for that? Mega Man, did you really not expect that to be Wily? But yeah, this game also introduces us to the Super Adapters, something that's only used for this game and 7. But they're awesome, with Power making Mega Man able to punch his enemies to death, and Jet making him able to jump higher, and get to many new platforms. The game is fantastic. With the new abilities and new level design, this game ends up being a real fun, with the amount of ways you can play it. Having alt paths that, granted, just led to a different room for the Robot Master, but it's cool that they're there regardless. Fan reception is also key, as Mega Man 6 is seen as one of the best in the NES era. Hell, some people say it is the best of the NES era. And while 2 and 3 are still bigger in my heart, this game is still great. Ads, once again, could not find a Nintendo Power, though like I said, this game was a part of a campaign to have the NES last a little bit longer, so it probably did get some promotion for that. And for a franchise first, we actually have an American and Japanese commercial. But that's about all for Mega Man 6. Let's move on. Mega Man 4 on Game Boy. We're back on the Game Boy with Mega Man 4. Blah blah blah, half Robot Master from 4, half from 5, blah. Anyways, Mega Man Killer in this game is the last out of the 3, and this one ends up being the most sympathetic, I guess you could say, as he actually realizes the error of his ways and sacrifices himself at the end of the game. Reception is okay, people like this game fine enough, and while it does have fans, specifically the Mega Man Killer of this game, it's often cited as people's favorite of the Mega Man Killers. In terms of that, it probably had a Nintendo Power, as it actually had a review from Nintendo Power in it, but that's all I could tell you, as I couldn't find anything else, so let's just move on. Mega Man Soccer. Oh no, not this game. Alright, you know how Mario is now the star of many sports games? Well, looks like Capcom wanted to see if Mega Man could do some of those as well. With that, we have Mega Man Soccer, a very poor soccer game where you play as either Mega Man, Proto Man, or a Robot Master, maybe even Wily, and you have to beat the other team at soccer. Honestly, the most noteworthy thing about this game is that it exists. There was a game called Mega Man Soccer. In terms of ads, there was a Japanese commercial, and I have no idea if it was a Nintendo Power at all, but it was funny. Anyways, let's move on already. Next game. Mega Man 5 on Game Boy. Mega Man 5 on Game Boy is an interesting game for the Game Boy series, as it's a completely new game, with new Robot Masters, new weapons, and a new plot. Mega Man and Roll are on a show one day when a Robot Master named Terra comes down and beats up Mega Man. As Mega Man notices his charge shot has no effect on the robot, he wakes up in Light's lab with a new arm shot that he will now have to use to take care of the robots named the Star Droids down. The game is the only game in the Mega Man series to have Mega Man's cat Tango. This game is awesome, with cool level design and some of the best bosses in the series, like the final boss Sunstar, who's a great challenge, and the first time in the series, Wily ain't the final boss. Fan reception to this game is that it is without a doubt the best of the Game Boy games, and some would even say it's the best, one of the best Mega Man games, period. In terms of ads, I couldn't find any. Once again, I'm just going to assume there may have been Nintendo Power for it, but besides from that, I have no idea. So, let's move on. Mega Man The Wily Wars. Mega Man The Wily Wars is one of the many collections for the Mega Man series, and it's a light remake of the first 3 games on the Sega Genesis. The remakes are nothing to write home about, and none of them are really better than the NES originals. They're not bad remakes, just not the best. But Wily Wars has something about it that just sticks out. Wily Tower Mode. This is actually awesome. When you beat all 3 games, this unlocks, and it's pretty much a series of levels where you have access to every single weapon in the first 3 Mega Man games. This is actually a genuinely great idea, and I'm surprised nothing else Mega Man related ever did something like this again. Only thing is that this game is now impossible to get. It was only released in Japan and Europe, and while America did get it, it only got it on the Sega Channel, a weird subscription service you can have to play certain Japanese exclusive games like Pulseman. The ROM for this game is online if you want to do it that way though. I ain't gonna judge. Ads, there was one commercial here in America, most likely promoting it on the Sega Channel, but that's all I could find for this game. Anyways, let's move on. Mega Man 7. We're finally jumping into the SNES, folks. Mega Man 7 was the first game in the classic series on the NES, and the only one besides Mega Man and Base. Mega Man 7's story is simple. Wily, after being arrested in 6, knew his plans would end in failure, so he had a set of robots made in case this happened. So Mega Man has to stop them and Wily. This game introduces us to Base, pretty much the new rival for Mega Man from here on out. He loves fighting and hates Mega Man and has a dog named Trouble. Mega Man 7 is a great game, and in recent has become a fan favorite, though originally it wasn't like that at all. At one point, this is what many considered the worst of the classic series, though now it's seen as a great underrated gem on the SNES. I wonder what changed. Maybe some popular people weighed the opinion of some detractors? Maybe people realized it wasn't that bad? Or maybe it's because now, since it's easier to play than it was back then, people can now play for themselves and make their own opinion. Either way, this game is one of my favorite Mega Man games and it's my 3rd favorite classic game besides 2 and 3. In terms of ads, there was a Japanese commercial of Mega Man running away from the apocalypse. What the hell happened? And another commercial that was more of a teaser for the game. As for America, I did find a magazine ad, but that's about all. Starting to think Mega Man was selling being a popular name, so let's start to move on. Mega Man Game Gear. I'm noticing a pattern here. We're back on the handheld scene for this game, and this game is a watered down port of Mega Man 4 and 5, with 3 of the Robot Masters being from 5 and Brightmare is there for some reason. Though there are more Robot Masters from 4 if you do play the game enough, so whatever. This game suffers from screen crunch, and the Robot Masters they chose are just kind of weird, and the game's just not good in general. I couldn't find a commercial, and it was only released in America, so I guess it makes sense. Onwards to the next game. Mega Man The Power Battle. Mega Man The Power Battle was an arcade game released for Japan in October of 1995. The game had you play as Mega Man, Proto Man, or Bates as you team up to stop Robot Masters from 1 to 7. This game is fun, especially if you have a friend by you. There's a small competition to it. Whoever defeats the Robot Master and collects their core will get the victory for the match. So you're both working together and competing at the same time. It's not a game to write home about, but it's still fun regardless. As for ads, what ads are an arcade game gonna get? Like, have you ever seen ads for an arcade game? Well, maybe in a magazine, but definitely not on TV. As for Power Battle, they might have had a Japanese magazine ad for it, but if so, I couldn't tell. Though Americans can play the game now due to the fact that it's been released on Mega Man Anniversary Collection. So, play it now anyways. Let's move on. Mega Man 2 The Power Fighters. Oh, this game didn't take too long to get a sequel. Mega Man 2 The Power Fighters is, as you can guess, a sequel to Power Battle. The game is overall the same as last. You play as Mega Man, Base, Proto Man, and now Duo, and you all team up to stop some Robot Masters. The funniest thing about this game is Mega Man 8 wasn't out yet when this game came out. So, was this game supposed to be an ad for the character? If so, then I guess that's fair enough, but Duo's ending kind of spoils Mega Man 8, so that's a weird thing to do. The game also has a sneak peek of Zero, giving us a little tease on when Wily started working on him. But yeah, this game is fun and has a few more ways to fight the robots. You can save Roll. My favorite part of saving Roll is that if you save for his base, now that's a face of confusion. Anyways, this game is good and has the same amount of fun as the last game. And probably had the same amount of ads, most likely, so let's just move on now. Mega Man 8. We're at Mega Man 8 now, folks, a game made to celebrate the 10th anniversary of Mega Man. The game was released for the PlayStation and the Sega Saturn. This game is well known for a few things. One, it's known for its really good visuals. This game really looks damn good, and it also has animated cutscenes, which while they look nice, they're probably more well known for the English voice acting.
Don't run away, coward. You'll pay for this insult. I'll be back.
Look, yeah, saying the voice acting in this game is bad is kind of beating a dead horse, but it really is quite bad when everyone sounding like they were picked randomly in the streets, and this game is technically introduces the duo, but he really doesn't appear again after this game, so does that really matter? This game doesn't introduce anything to Mega Man in terms of gameplay yet, by the way. And in terms of fan reception, it's not hated, people like it fine enough, but it's seen on the weaker side of the classic series, which isn't saying much as it's still a good game in its own right, but it's kinda lackluster. In terms of ads, there was a few Japanese commercials, and while I couldn't find any American ads, the game sold well enough to become a PlayStation bestseller. Compete with the puke green cover, so it had to have sold well, though that's probably because it is Mega Man. Anyways, while the Saturn version is the better version of the game, it's also the hardest version to get, as every single re-release of this game is the PlayStation version. But that's Mega Man 8. Let's move on. Mega Man Battle and Chase. Remember in the 90s when every mascot had a kart racer, or just a racing game in general? Well, that, for Mega Man, was one of those franchises. Mega Man Battle and Chase was released in 1997 for the PlayStation, and you could play as all your favorite Mega Man characters. And Spring Man. Wait, Napalm Man is in this game? How is he driving? He doesn't have hands. Also, there's no Robot Masters from 4. How odd. Anyways, in terms of being a kart racer, Battle and Chase is clunky. They try to have some things to mix it up from other kart races. Every racer has their own special ability, and everyone can do an attack with the Buster. It's not that good. It's not the worst kart racing game. Hell, I'd say it's still better than Bomberman Fantasy Race. Oh wait, I haven't done that history of yet. And in terms of ads, there was one thing that I said was a commercial, but it seems more like a trailer for the game to me. However, interesting enough, I found an English magazine ad for the PlayStation game, which is funny because it never came out in America until it was added for the X collection for PlayStation 2. Anyways, let's move on to the next game. Marvel vs. Capcom. Yep, we're at the crossover games now. But first things first, we're not going to go over too much when it comes to the crossover games. Like with Klonoa and Namco X Capcom, Marvel vs. Capcom is not a Mega Man game. It's a game that just has Mega Man in it. So we'll go over the Mega Man stuff. Mega Man's a playable character, and if you do a little code, Roll is playable as well. Now while this game is great and did have quite a few ads, it really didn't need to sell people on the Mega Man series. Hell, Mega Man probably helped this game himself. I mean, who wouldn't want to play a game where Ryu can punch Captain America and Mega Man punches Spider-Man? So, let's move on. Mega Man and Bass. Oh no, not this game. Okay, Mega Man and Bass is a funny game. See, it looks like Mega Man 8, and while this game was pretty much made for the Japanese markets, for people who couldn't get to play Mega Man 8 on the PlayStation, but still had an SNES lying around. Now off the bat, this game does look and sound great, as besides from not being as fluid, the sprites look almost as good as they did in Mega Man 8. Too bad the game sucks. With crappy level design, enemy placement that's just overall ass, and probably one of the most infamous stages in the Mega Man franchise, Mega Man Bass is the worst game in the main classic series, bar none. Fan reception for this game has pretty much been agreed that out of the classic series, this is the weakest one, for being too hard for not the right reasons. The game also got ported in 2003 to the Game Boy Advance, and it's even worse there, as it has screen crunch. In terms of ads, the SNES version had a Japanese commercial, and so did the GBA version. And the GBA version had an American magazine ad. Nintendo Power put it at 14th of their best GBA games. Wait, what the hell? Let's just move on. Super Adventure Rockman. Oh, a game that's even worse than Mega Man and Bass. Here we have Super Adventure Rockman. You actually may have heard of this game, as it's quite infamous in the Mega Man fan base because this is the darkest game in the classic series, with scenes of humans dying, and a scene where Quickman dies, and in some situations Mega Man himself can die in brutal ways. Get a standard game over, and Roll dies. Like, what the hell is this game? Anyways, gameplay is just this really bad first-person shooter thing, and man, this game just ain't fun. This game ended up being so infamous that even Keiji Inafune hates this game, as he thinks it was too dark for a game in the classic series of Mega Man. Also because it wasn't a good game. So let's move on. Rockman Gold Empire. Bet you never heard of this game. I didn't either until I started working this video. Mega Man Gold Empire is pretty much a sequel to Rockport, just with only Mega Man and Proto Man keeping their playable status, and Bass and Duo being there as well. We do get a new character called the Mayor, and this game was only released in Taiwan, and there doesn't seem to be many ads or stuff for it. But yeah, that's this game. really all there is to it. Let's move on. Rockman Complete Works. Rockman Complete Works is an interesting little series of ports of the original 6 Mega Man games. It has some graphical touch-ups like some menus, the health bar, and some other things, and it also added a difficulty mode for all the games, and a Navi mode where a character from each Mega Man game would help you and give you advice. Dr. Light would help you in Mega Man 1 and 6, Roll would help you in Mega Man 2, Proto Man for 3, Kalinka for 4, and Dr. Cossack for 5. A lot of these features would actually be ported over to the Anniversary Collection, most notably the Navi mode. But yeah, that's all there is to this little series. Can I just say though, the cover arts they made for these games are absolutely great. I love these. But, let's move on. Rockman and Forte Mirai Korai no Chosensha. God, I hope I said that name right. Anyways, we're on the Wonder Swan now, folks, with this game, and oh boy. Story is, there's this Rockman Shadow guy who looks just like Quinn, and apparently was supposed to be his replacement made by Wily. Bryson didn't just do that in the first place. Not many people have played this game, and those who have are mixed. Some think it's a fun game in its own right, but some have said it's the worst Mega Man game. Me, I haven't played it. Yeah, at least the music here ain't as bad as the one in Moonlight Museum, am I right? Also no ads, what were you expecting? Let's move on. Rockman Battle Fighters. We're now in the 2000s, folks, and this is where classic Mega Man slowed down quite a bit. Now, while there was a lot of Mega Man series going strong at the time, classic now would be things in comics, mangas, re-releases, and other stuff that we'll cover in the next segment of the video. Anyways, this game is just a Neo Geo Pocket Color port of Power Fighters and Power Battle. Nothing else to it besides that. Anyways, let's move on. Marvel vs. Capcom 2. Marvel vs. Capcom 2. What many consider one of the best fighting games of all time with a cast of over 50 characters. And Mega Man and Roll are 2 of those. That's all there is for classic Mega Man stuff in this game, so let's move on. Mega Man mobile games. Let's make this quick. There's a lot of Mega Man mobile games. Like, a lot of them. Like, most of them ain't even worth talking about. Some of them are more infamous than others, such as Rockman X Over, or the ports of Mega Man's 1 through 6 on phones. And most of these games aren't good, so let's move on once again. Rockman Strategy. Rockman Strategy is another game made in Taiwan. This time, as you can guess, it is a strategy game that looks weird to say the least. I understand this is a 2001 PC game, but goddamn, what is up with the way this game looks? Anyways, I couldn't find out what people think about this game. I don't think many people have played it. But from what I can see, it doesn't look like anything that would give other strategy games a run for their money. Since this is another obscure game from Taiwan, it didn't have any ads, so let's move on. Mega Man Anniversary Collection. Mega Man Anniversary Collection was a compilation of the Rockman complete versions of Mega Man 1 through 6 released for North America. So it had a lot of other features removed besides from the Navi mode. It also had 7 and 8 and even the 2 arcade games. Some of the porting job was poor, and this is not the best way to play the classic games these days, but the game is still fine enough. Hell, it's the only legal way to play some of the original arcade games, so there is that. It also came with some other bonuses, like if you were playing the PlayStation version, you can unlock the first episode of the cartoon series. And if you were playing Xbox, you unlocked an episode of NT Warrior. And if you played GameCube, you actually got the G4 Icons episode for Mega Man, which, out of all 3, that one actually sounds like it fits in an Anniversary Collection. But yeah, this collection sold really well. So well that it made Capcom make a bunch of future collections for Mega Man. In terms of ads, there seems to have been a promo for it, and probably did have a magazine ad there, or if it sold this well. It also could have been because it was a Mega Man related, but before we move on, there was actually supposed to be a GBA version of the Anniversary Collection called Mega Man Mania. It would have featured all 5 of the Game Boy games remade and put into color, and even some new features and some remix stuff. But for some reason, this never ended up happening. It got far enough in development to have magazine ads, so I wonder what happened. Anyways, let's move on. Mega Man Powered Up. Mega Man Powered Up is a remake for the first game on PSP. The game is interesting as you can expect, it has a whole new art style, this time going for a very chibi aesthetic, which actually does fit the classic Mega Man series, so I don't mind. It also has a lot of new features, with a new style which features a new intro stage, cutscenes, voice acting, and different playable characters. There's also old style, which is pretty much the original game, just with the graphics update. This game introduced 2 new robot masters to make the first game now have 8 robots the series is known for. In the new style, you can also play as all the Robot Masters if you beat them with just the Mega Buster, and Mega Man in his civilian clothes, Proto Man, and Roll, who also has a shit ton of outfits, like her one from 8, and some other ones as well. Anyways, so when it comes to reception, it's a little weird. Some blew off this game because they didn't like the art style or some of the voice acting, but a lot of people also considered this the best way to play the original Mega Man 1. Just one problem. This game came out at a time of the PSP, a system that wasn't that popular all things considered, and this game flopped because of it. Shame too, I wouldn't have minded other remakes in this style. Oh well, what you gonna do? Anyways, let's move on. Mega Man 9. While the classic series didn't go away entirely, as you saw in it, it still had been 10 years since the last non-remake Mega Man game. And fans were getting hungry for some classic Mega Man, as Mega Man X was dying a slow death, ZX sold horribly, Battle Network had ended, Zero had ended, and Star Force was about to end. So we needed some classic Mega Man, and well, our prayers were about to be answered as Capcom announced Mega Man 9. And it was going to be back to the 8-bit style. It was going to be made by Intuit Creates, the same people who made the Mega Man Zero series. And man, this game was just awesome. It was as good as a return to the classic formula could have asked. With great Robot Masters, weapons, a great set of Robot Masters, and hell, we even have our first female Robot Master in the whole franchise with Splash Woman. Oh my god. Hell, even Proto Man was made into a playable character with DLC. The game was released for PSN, WiiWare, and Xbox Live Arcade, and fans loved it. The game sold really well, and even Nintendo Power once again featured it on the cover of the magazine when it came out. So yeah, anyways, next we have Mega Man 10. With the success of Mega Man 9, it would be silly to not have a follow-up, and that follow-up was Mega Man 10. A virus called Roborenza has spread around, affecting robots including Roll. So Dr. Wily and Dr. Light team up to make a cure while Mega Man and Proto Man, and Base if you buy the DLC, or do a code in the Legacy Collection, go to hell. Anyways, so Mega Man 10 is just like 9, is an 8-bit throwback game. And while it's not as good as Mega Man 9, it still is a welcomed addition to the Mega Man series and is a great game in its own right. However, this is where we enter the dark period for Mega Man. For years, Mega Man would be in this hole of game projects starting and ending, just like that. I mean, we did get some stuff with Mega Man and Roll in Tatsunoko vs. Capcom, but that's really all. So, how about we talk about some of the cancelled games? Some of these cancelled games were Mega Man Universe, a game that would have starred Mega Man, Rockman, and Bad Boxer Mega Man, and also Ryu and Arthur as playable characters. It would have had a lot of customization to it, and looked like it was going to be fun, but it got canned. There was also Rockman Online, an MMORPG that was going to feature characters from the Classic series and the X series, but that got canned too. And while there were other cancelled games, we'll talk about them in the next two parts of Mega Man history. There was also Street Fighter X Mega Man, a fan game that Capcom published, and while it was a fun enough game in its own right, it was still a fan game, just one that Capcom gave the official thumbs up to. Mega Man looked like he was going to be in a dark spot, and he was, but he did come out of it, but we'll get to that in a second because first we have to deal with Mega Man's other stuff. Did you really think a franchise as big as Mega Man only had video games to his name? No, he had plenty of other things, and the first of those things were Mega Man Upon a Star. Mega Man Wish Upon a Star is a series of 3 OVAs starring Mega Man. The plot's simple. A little boy named Yuta and his sister Aikane are having silly adventures with Mega Man after Yuta leaves his game of Mega Man 5 running, as he goes to sleep, causing Wily to escape. The series is interesting as a whole, as the OVA series is about Mega Man learning about Japanese culture, which is funny because the OVAs were actually supposed to be a part of the cartoon later, as can be seen with a small little pilot, as the team who worked on this would actually go on to help with the Ruby Spears cartoon. Now, when the OVA eventually got English dubbed, a lot of voice actors from the cartoon returned to voice their characters, like Scott McNeil as Wily. Anyways, the OVAs aren't that great, but they're still overall way more accurate to the Mega cartoon would be than what the Mega Man cartoon that we got. The Ruby Spears cartoon was released in 1994 and had a 27-episode run. The cartoon is interesting. First off, look at the characters. They look off. So off that you can't really tell who they are. But I didn't know what Mega Man was. This looks like it would be one of the box arts, with how grown everyone looks. The cartoon was not that great. It wasn't the worst video game cartoon out there, but it was definitely one of the most bizarre. It was also filled with animation errors and some things really not making sense. Funny thing is that if you look at the original promo for the cartoon, it looks way more accurate to the source material. It flat out looks like a full-fledged cartoon made out of the OVA series. Anyways, the show was cancelled for multiple reasons, though I hear ratings was not one of those reasons, as it was doing well when it came to it. I heard it might have been done because of toys, but I have no real way of knowing. Nova's Aventuras de Rockman. Oh no, not this comic. Okay, so this comic is infamous for being a Capcom-approved Brazilian comic, and it was gory, oddly sexual because Roll got naked like every freaking issue, and had some incest and things in it. Oh boy, and did I mention gore? Because it had a ton of gore. Look at this image. It has a blue Quickman over here cutting a dude's head off, the guy next to him is cut in half with his guts showing, Flame Man is burning people to death, what the hell is this thing? The comic also has X characters here, which to be honest, it is kind of weird seeing X and Classic right next to each other, though this is not the first time this has happened, and hell, it's not even the last, not the last time at all. The comic went through so many artists, and oh god, can we talk about the writing? Cause it's a mess. With plot holes everywhere, plot threads starting and ending immediately, and also they had a writer who apparently was not interested in Mega Man or video games in general, so he created a character named Princess to hopefully kill all the Mega Man characters and then take over the comic. If you couldn't guess, he was fired before he had the chance to do his weird ass plan. Swearing, gore, nudity, incest, and this was all a Capcom approved comic. They even have, yeah, the comic is infamous now for how bug nuts it is. If you want to read it, good luck. It's online, but don't be surprised if you lose brain cells. So yeah, let's move on. Mega Man, Mega Mix, and Giga Mix. There's a lot of Mega Man manga, and I mean a lot of Mega Man manga, so much I could legit make a history of for them all by themselves. Almost all of the number games have one. Battle and Chase has a silly one, but if you ask a Mega Man fan to name a Mega Man manga, this is the one they usually refer to. Hitoshi Agura is the one who made the manga, and yeah, the same guy who's now working on the Klonoa movie and did the webcomic was the guy who did the manga, and he still considers this his favorite work of his. And fans agree. The Mega Man manga gives a lot of nice personalities to all your favorite Mega Man robot masters, and had really fun and story and heartwarming characters. And with a lot of human and robot interaction, it's action-packed, and like I said, it's very heartwarming. There were 3 volumes released at first, however because Mega Man 9 and 10 did so well, they were released as Gigamix, which is pretty much all 3 volumes together, and had some new stuff added to it as well. And now there's going to be an even better way to read it as there's now going to be a colored version of Gigamix called Master Mix. But yeah, this little manga series will be well known in the heart of Mega Man fans for years to come. The Mega Man Dreamwave comic. Mega Man wasn't only having manga though. In 2003 he got his first American comic, made by Dreamwave Productions. This comic is interesting as it only lasted for 4 issues, but it had some very interesting things that no other Mega Man material has done. First off, Mega Man actually goes to middle school in this comic as Dr. Light sends him there, and as he wants to test out Mega Man's new chip that helps him grow with human interaction. However, Mega Man's name here is Rocky. Okay, everything always called him Rock, but I'm fine with Rocky. Also, he can fly in the comic! Yeah, Mega Man can fly here. This was probably done because they saw the red jewels on his feet and thought they were for flight. But yeah, the series had quite a few original characters created for the comic. And two human characters named Alan, Mega Man's school friend who really weirds me out. Seriously, look at his ears, they just freak me out, I don't know why. And Chelsea, Mega Man's human love interest in the comic that he pretty much drools over for most of the school scenes. I mean, hey, makes sense, Dr. Light probably did program Mega Man to feel that way about girls, but let's move on. In terms of fan reception, it's a split one. Some people think the first 3 issues were good, but 4 was lackluster, some people think 4 was good and 1 to 3 were not, but in the end, the series ended up on a cliffhanger of Mega Man X asking classic Mega Man for help. The reason the comic went away is because Dreamwave went out of business shortly after issue 4. Guess they didn't have enough to stay afloat, and the Mega Man comic ended there. Fun fact, Anniversary Collection actually has an ad for the Dreamwave comic in it. Fun fact number 2, some of the people working on this actually went on to work for the Archie comic. Speaking of which, the Mega Man Archie comic. The Mega Man Archie comic was a comic series made by, who else? Archie Comics. This is the comic series people will probably think about now when it comes to Mega Man because it was actually pretty good. Made by most of the same people who made the Sonic Archie comics, and it was a great comic bringing together a bunch of the classic characters, and introducing a bunch of new ones, such as Gilbert D. Stern, a guy who's a little harsh and doesn't think too highly of robots, but only because he cares about his fellow man. His partner Rosalind, who is a lot more trusting and kind-hearted, Xander Payne, some crazy whack job who sometimes becomes the antagonist of the comic, Dr. Noelle, another scientist and maybe even a bit of a love interest for Dr. Light, and Quake Woman, a girl with no emotions who later gets some of hers back because of her mother, who took them away. Anyways, there's also some more obscure characters here like Madame Y, Plum, and even the mayor from Gold Empire is here. The comic is well known for its adaptations of some of the classic games, but also for the two crossovers it did with the Sonic series, like Worlds Unite and Worlds Collide, with the second one bringing together a bunch of Sega and Capcom characters together. But good things were not meant to last. The series was put on an indefinite hiatus after issue 55 because of budget reasons. And considering the Sonic Archie comic ended after 24 years, it's safe to say that Mega Man Archie is probably never gonna come back. Which is a damn shame too, to be honest. Maybe like the Sonic comic, it will one day have a spiritual successor made by IDW, but if this happens, it probably can't continue where Archie left off, and who knows what they would do with it. Would they do more original stories or just readapt the old games they already adapted? I just doubt it's gonna happen anytime soon. So let's move on. Smash Bros. For Wii U and 3DS and Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. I know Smash Bros. Is placed weirdly here, but I couldn't think of a better place for it. Mega Man was the first third-party character announced for the 4th installment of the Super Smash Bros. Series, and people were hyped when that helmet went on. His moveset had so many Robot Master weapons from every game from 1 to 8, and even had the Mega Upper from Marvel vs. Capcom. West was his up B, and his stage was Dr. Wily Castle, with Yellow Devil as a boss in it. Roll, Dr. Light, Dr. Wily, Beat, Amet, Proto Man, and Bass even had trophies in the game, and while Elect Man was an assist trophy. And when Mega Man did his final smash, boom! Mega Man EXE, X, Volnut, and even Star Force Mega Man joined him so they could do one giant blast. Mega Man is also going to be in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, a game I cannot wait for. And while mostly everything he had in Smash, he had some buffs given to him, and Proto Man and Bass were added to his final Smash. But yeah, after this, the comics ended, there wasn't a Mega Man game for years, and it seemed all hope was lost. Until one day! Mega Man Legacy Collection. Mega Man Legacy Collection is a great collection of the original 6 NES games, and Legacy Collection 2 is still a great collection of 7 through 10. And the 1+2 combo pack on the Nintendo Switch is also great. These are the ways to play the original games now, with save states for Legacy Collection 1 anyways, many ways to make the games look, and challenges you can do to get more bang for your buck. It's all great. And in Legacy Collection 2 there is concept art for Mega Man 8 that didn't look like Mega Man 8 concept art. And then there was a Roll Nindoroid figure with a new design for Roll. Well, later our questions were answered with Mega Man 11. But before we get to that, Mighty Number 9. You know I had to talk about this somehow. Mighty Number 9 was an attempt by Keiji Inafune to start a Kickstarter and make a spiritual successor to the classic Mega Man series. It was a successful Kickstarter and made a lot of money and got a lot of goals, but then as time went on, the game looked shadier and shadier. When another Kickstarter made later, and then Inafune doing another Kickstarter for a spin-off for Mighty Number 9 before the game was even out. There was even a cartoon announced for God's sake. But it's unlikely a lot of this will happen, as when Mighty Number 9 came out, it was welcomed with the warm reception of Worst Game of 2016. But with all the disappointment behind it, all the bad practices, and the fact that the game just wasn't good, it all made for a recipe of disaster. But we would not have to worry long, because in 2 years, fans later got what they actually wanted with Mega Man 11, for real this time. In the live stream for Mega Man's 30th anniversary, they showed off Mega Man was finally getting a new game. Fans were excited to see that not only was it no longer having an 8-bit design, as it was now going to be a 2.5 game, Mega Man also no longer changes colors with Robot Master weapons. He now changes his entire design with each weapon. The game was released on October 2nd of 2018, and oh man, it was better than a lot of people thought it was gonna be. With a lot of fun level designs, some of the best bosses in the series, and a really damn good line of Robot Master weapons, and a good line of Robot Masters, and the double gear system was very good. With power making all of Mega Man's abilities become very strong, and speed making it so Mega Man can move through the level quicker. All of this combined makes Mega Man 11 a great return for the classic Blue Bomber, and I hope that future games can expand on this game. In short, for the classic series, while Mega Man in general was seen as a franchise that would be forgotten, now the franchise looks brighter than ever, and I'm happy to say that the future of the franchise looks bright. And I'm pretty sure that if Mega Man continues, then the classic series continues. I mean, it is the most popular Mega Man series after all, so that does make sense. So hopefully from now on, we can continue to see the Blue Bomber continue for his fight for peace. Anyways, we're nowhere near done. We still have the X, Zero, ZX, Battle Network, Star Force, and Legend series, but we will cover those in the next 2 parts. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, I thank you all for watching the video. I can't promise the next 2 parts of this Mega Man history will be out right after this, but I'm going to try to make sure all 3 parts can be out by the end of this year. Anyways, thanks for watching, and if you're watching the planned long video version, then just keep watching as part 2 should be up next. Anyways, this was my first time editing a history of, so tell me how I did. Anyways, I'll see you all later. Goodbye!